Welcome back to another episode of the Body Buddies podcast. This is episode number 196, How to Get Vibrant Energy Naturally.
Welcome to Body Buddies, home of the Power Foods lifestyle. Take it one meal, one workout, one day at a time. And now, here's the founder of Body Buddies, Kristy Jo.
In case we haven't met before, my name is Kristy Jo. I am a mind and body strategist who helps you bridge the gap between the science of optimality in nutrition and fitness and the reality of your day-to-day life and psychology. So if you want to lose weight, feel better, blast through brain fog, increase your energy, see some muscle definition, soothe digestive distress, and gain a healthier relationship with your body and food, you are definitely in the right place. All right, my friends, today I'm bringing to you a webinar training that I gave in September of 2018 about how to obtain this energy naturally. So many of you guys are going through life with this hazy brain fog. You feel like kind of zombie-ish. You're going about, you're not having super clear thoughts. Your memory might be kind of starting to fade. That's a comment I get constantly, if not several times per day, in messages, on social media, questions people ask, the things that clients want to discuss. And so this common, epidemic, do we go that far? Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go that far. It is an epidemic because there's many contributors, which is why, my friends, this is a long episode. It's 60 minutes. So buckle up. I am going to talk super dang fast. You're going to want to take some notes, and you may need to listen in a few different chunks so that you can extract all the information that I have packed into this free session for you guys. My goal for you guys today is to help you say goodbye to that sluggish feeling in your body in less than 2 days. And nope, that is not some marketing hype. I'm actually going to give you the very practical way. You know me, I am a holistic nutritionist. I take everything the natural way. And so I want you getting feeling better quickly. I'm going to teach you which fats to eat without getting fat. We're going to teach you how to create better brain chemicals and how to still enjoy yummy treats without ruining your health. These are very, very frequently asked questions. I talk about the topics that most people are interested in, and it's just, what I'm seeing out there on the web, in my client calls, and the questions that get emailed in the comments on the podcast, on the blog. So I am very excited for you to have this training, again, brought free to you at this time. So I am super excited to also let you know about this special offer. When it comes to meat, quality matters, but finding high quality, healthy meat can be hard. ButcherBox's goal is to find you the healthiest and highest quality beef, chicken, and pork every single month. They hold their suppliers to strict standards and taste test every cut before putting it in your ButcherBox. ButcherBox is delivered every single month to your door in a refrigerated carton. You can hand select the cuts, the types of meat you would like to receive each month. You can change it up every single month, and all for less than $6 per meal. I love being able to trust that I'm getting grass-fed beef. Huge difference in the omegas, the inflammation in your body, which impacts your brain and your health, and the longevity, prevention of disease, and helping you feel better and achieve more in your life every single day. I want to invite you to give ButcherBox 1 to 2 month test drive and see if you don't feel the difference between real quality sourced meat and your conventional meat that you're buying at the grocery store. You can click the link in the show notes of whatever podcast player you are listening to this. I do receive a small kickback for you using that code. That's how I'm able to offset the cost of all of this free production of material to get it to you. So I do thank you for using my affiliate codes and links whenever possible. The food system in this country needs huge improvement. Animal welfare issues continue to surface. People in rural areas have limited access to clean meat sources, and there is not enough information out there on how to eat well. Unless, of course, you listen to like a podcast called Body Buddies. ButcherBox is dedicated to doing their part to connect families with the foods they want to eat by establishing an always open neighborhood butcher online. Welcome to our masterclass on vibrant energy and stress relief in 4 simple steps. I am Kristy Jo, and I am very excited you're here. Chances are you have been around Body Buddies and the Power Foods lifestyle a bit. So this is my favorite slogan here: power your body, one meal, one workout, one day at a time. And what that really reminds me every single day, and especially every individual I ever talk with, is that this is a choice, and it doesn't just suddenly go away, and it doesn't just suddenly stop being a decision, because the parameters of our life are constantly changing. And so it is one meal, one workout, one day at a time, whether we are trying to lose weight, whether we're trying to improve our hormones, gain more energy, reduce the stress in our lives, enjoy a higher quality of life, work on a new physical fitness achievement, whatever it is, it's going to be a process. And so embrace that process. In this class today, we are going to say goodbye to feeling sluggish, heavy, tired, and overly stressed and anxious. These 4 simple steps are those you can apply through strategy in nutrition, mindset, and life hacks. A quick word on that. Too many people think that the solution to the problems that we're experiencing in the health conditions or the body image or the headaches or whatever symptoms are manifesting, and we think that the answer lies in only one area, and that may or may not be true, but I'd like to argue that it's probably a crossover of multiple areas. And that's why I'm a strategist and not just a nutritionist, not just a trainer. We have to really look at multiple areas of your life, whether it's structure of your body, whether it's the gut, whether it's the environment that you're in, whether it's the way that you're managing stress or your day, or the beliefs that you have about who you are, what you're doing, and the way you're spending your life. So many of these things roll together to form what it is you are experiencing in this life. So I'm very excited to show you just a few tip of the iceberg secrets, but the good news is I'm going to give you more than enough to start getting going on right away. So remember that you do deserve to feel better and bring a boom, bam, pow to your world. You do deserve to feel better, and you are the only one that allows thoughts in your mind that says, no, actually you deserve to feel like this. You don't deserve to try. You don't deserve to improve your life. We're going to say BS to all that, and I want to kind of get you motivated today. So let's just take a look at some of these quotes. Healing is a matter of time, but it is sometimes also a matter of opportunity. And what I have learned from my own journey, and it's constantly evolving, and watching so many other people as well, is that you have to really create those opportunities. Very, very rarely will they just stumble across you. And usually it comes from making a decision. And those are the moments that you look back on 3, 6, 12, 24 months down the line, and you say, my goodness, that was a humongous turning point for me. And if only I would have known the gravity of that moment, would I have made the same choice? Or would I know that that was absolutely what I was going to do? Would I have been even tempted by the thought of not to do it? And so I just want you to really think about, whenever you're at a moment of decision, make the decision that builds you a future. It's not easy. No, but life wasn't meant to be easy. Let's look at this one. True healing will only occur when we are acknowledging all aspects of ourselves and treating ourselves accordingly. So true. We can't just expect working out to fix it. We can't just expect chiropractic to fix it. We can't just expect starting to take the right supplements to fix it. We can't just expect eating the right protein powder to fix it. It is small little steps that help build into this one powerful ability to heal ourselves. Okay. One other thought I just want to share is it's all about base hits. Have you ever heard about baseball and the coaching strategy? Very rarely do people get told to swing for the home run. No, strategy is to make this small incremental progress, those baby steps, those base hits. And that is what makes the score. That is what wins the game. And I, having coached thousands of people through this, will tell you absolutely that's the truth. When things don't happen right away, just remember it takes 6 months to build a Rolls Royce and 13 hours to build a Toyota. You are playing the long game, and you must constantly recalibrate. It comes from constant immersion in this conversation, in the education, or I can guarantee you will hit the point where you give up. You must constantly re-educate and re-immerse yourself in the content of what you're doing to change your life. Instead of saying, I'm damaged, I'm broken, say, I'm healing, I'm rediscovering myself, I'm starting over. That's what every single successful person I've worked with has said. And they're just like, Kristy, I need a whole new start. And sometimes it's as simple as, everything in my life is amazing, but why can't I get in front of this one thing? And those are some of the coolest stories. I mean, everyone's story is so unique and different. You can reinvent yourself as often as you want. Don't think you're done. You're never done. You're never done till you decide you're done. No matter what your age, no matter your health condition. Always, always, always keep going. Last but not least, because I am a holistic coach, spirituality is a humongous tenet of what it is that I help my clients think about and dig deep into themselves to find some solutions. And I will tell you, a large part of our energetic disturbance or our lifestyle unfulfillment or anything that's causing us grief in life, sometimes, if not all the time, can be traced back to a distance from God. And I am a Christian. I do believe in Jesus Christ and his Father. And that is a huge part. No matter what your beliefs are, I do encourage you to consider how can you take one baby step forward in your connection with God as well. Very, very important part of healing. All right, by the end of this masterclass, you will know how to say goodbye to the sluggish, heavy feeling in your body in less than 2 days. Now, that's not just some marketing hype. I promise you, you will feel better in 2 days. Now, does that mean you're healed forever? No, you need to keep the aspects going that I'm going to teach you. But I'm going to teach you the right way to get feeling better quickly instead of what the world would tell you, which is drink this shake 40 times a day, take this oil, take this peel, wrap yourself in seaweed. Like, no, we're going to teach you the real way to get the chemicals biochemically balanced in your body, okay? You're going to learn which fats to eat without getting fat and improving hormonal balance in the process. I am still appalled that we have a large demographic of people who are afraid of eating fats, and we have a generation that's being brought up by people who still believe that fats are bad. So unfortunately, that misinformation is being programmed into them, and I want to fight that so hard. The third aspect we're going to go over today is you're going to learn how to create better brain chemicals to reduce stress and anxiety using real food, no supplement or shake pitches here. And fourth, how to still enjoy yummy treats without letting them ruin your health journey. We're going to do all of this without calorie counting, drinking shakes all day, buying pills, doing wraps, or weighing food. Those are most people's complaints about what makes them feel like they're on a diet and doing things in a restriction manner. And I'm not suggesting to you that you don't need discipline. I'm suggesting to you that there's a better psychological approach that is more sustainable, that takes science into consideration as well as your emotions and your psychology. So please stick around to the end of this masterclass because all those who are present, I'll just have you type in your name at that point in the masterclass, and then I will put you in a drawing for a free coaching call. They're 45 minutes long. That's really, to be quite frankly honest, that's where the magic of most transformations at Body Buddies happen. We discuss nutrition and fitness, but mostly mindset, spirituality, and your day-to-day obstacles. The nutrition and fitness is quite simple, my friends. Like, I have the answers for you once we get your body figured out. It's not the same answer for anybody, but I have coached thousands of people, again, and I can pretty quickly navigate to what approach your body needs at the point it's at. So just so you know, in case you don't win this free call, you can purchase those anytime a la carte, but they do work best in a program with repeated follow-ups. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on. So problem number 1, you feel sluggish, bloated, and tired. That's probably the biggest contributing factor that caused you to sign up today and be here with me. So let's find a strategic solution and take control. I want to say that again. Let that sink deep into your mind. Let's find a strategic solution, meaning we are going to figure out what we can do about the problem. Instead of marinating in the problem, instead of swimming around and complaining about our problems, which we all have them. We all have issues we need to work through. We all have conditions. Everyone has different levels in different areas of their life, but everyone's got stuff. Then so let's find a solution. Let's take control. That's ownership. We're going to leave behind the victim mindset or the blame mindset. And we're going to say, regardless of how I got here, this is what I'm going to do about it. You're going to come across that phrase multiple times in this masterclass. And every time you see it, I want you to, if you say it in your mind, if not out loud, because I want you to feel the power that comes into your life and your heart when you decide that you're ready. That you're ready to stop the lies you've been telling yourself, the loopholes you've been swimming through, and you're ready to buck up and do what needs to be done at the level that's right for you. Okay, so step number 1 today. Let's talk about how to say goodbye to that sluggish, heavy feeling in your body in less than 2 days. If you can see my little graph here, you'll see there's a picture of a tree with the branches and the leaves being the symptoms. That's what we see on the surface. We have the runny nose all the time. We have the stomach distress. We have the gas. We have the bloating. We have the hair falling out. We have the brittle nails and dry skin. We have irregular periods. We have infertility. Whatever those symptoms are, they're on the surface. We see them. And what conventional medicine is, as wonderful as it is, because I do believe there are times we need to absolutely treat acute symptoms, but we have to really look at what's causing the problem. What is the root cause? We got to go under the surface and look at those aspects that are contributing, that got us into that in the first place. The reality is your body is a beautiful scientific masterpiece. And it does know how to function properly, but unfortunately, there are so many things in our world working against us right now. And I do, on a spiritual level, believe there is an absolute purpose for the number of obstacles that we're being faced with, from our environment to the food-like substances, to pollution, to social media. I mean, it's all rampant, and we are dealing with some heavy stuff. But the good news is we can absolutely take control 100%, and especially going back to that last quote, with the Lord's help. And we ask for his help to empower us as we are learning and applying what we can do, because he is a God of empowerment, and believing that we can do it. He's not going to do it for us. That takes away our agency. We have to step into that. So let's talk about some of those root causes that could be causing your sluggish, heavy feeling. I'm going to go pretty quick. And so just keep in mind, each topic I'm touching on, probably I could spend another hour on each of these bullet points, but because I do want to get a level 1 class to you today so that you can start taking action, I'm not going to dive too deep. So if anything really stimulates you or says, wow, like I feel like that is an area I need to explore more, jot it down for sure and search either on my podcast or in my blog or my YouTube for that topic, or of course consider joining PFL Academy, which we will be embarking on fall 2018 this Monday. So I'll share more about that with you later. So what happens is carbohydrate loading. In our world, if we're not being cautious and aware, we're probably going to end up way overeating carbohydrates. Now, in my observation and anecdotal evidence of working with so many women, I would say the average female who is semi-active is going to feel quite good around 150 grams of carbs per day. When we start getting into hormonal issues, though, we start getting into hypothyroidism, we start getting into menopause, we have dominant estrogen. That's when we're going to start saying we really may benefit from reducing that level of carbohydrates to anywhere from 30 grams per day, which would be more of a ketogenic state, which I do like ketosis. It's not for everyone, but it is for some people. It's a great tool to use in the right situation for the right person. Or go to more of a low carb, high fat approach, which is going to be around 60 to 100 grams of carbs per day. And just keep in mind that carbohydrate number is absolutely independent of protein and fats. When you overeat carbohydrates, that breaks down into simple sugar called glucose. Glucose, as I talk about in my book, think of it like pearls of a pearl necklace. If you cannot actively use that glucose for your brain or for active energy, then your body is going to string them together into a storage site, and that's called glycogen. Now, so just picture those pearls going together like a pearl necklace. That's stored in your muscles, in your liver. And when those glycogen stores are full and you're drinking water, that alone can cause you to be a little puffier than normal, okay? Especially if you're going to add an abundant amount of salt. Now, of course, every adult does need salt. I really don't like people saying that sodium is bad. No, sodium's incredible. It's a very essential electrolyte. We just need to get the right amount. And so if you're eating 70 to 80% dominantly power foods, meaning foods that are from the earth, those foods that compose about 10% of your grocery store, then you are going to easily need to salt every meal because it's just not in natural foods. Sodium is a preservative. So if you're eating a lot of manufactured foods or fast foods, restaurant foods, you are going to be getting higher sodium intake. So that's one reason you may be bloated. One other reason may be insulin resistance. This is incredibly common in our society, particularly women after you have your first child. It is shown in the science that your body is so much more predisposed to developing insulin resistance due to the fluctuating hormones. This means that your cell receptors will not open to glucose and let them in the cells to utilize for energy in the brain and in the muscles and that feel good when you have enough carbs. And so you're puffy and you're putting on body fat because you have too much carbs, but you're not getting it to the places to generate energy. So therefore you feel totally brain fatigued, you feel weak, you feel like, you're frustrated and all that brain fog that sets in when you just absolutely can't focus, you're forgetting things easily, and it's frustrating. And not only that, but then you're putting on body fat. And how much does that impact your psyche? Yeah. It's just like this perpetuating cycle. And so let's get into a solution. Deplete the body of carbohydrates and replace with fats for 2 to 3 days. Now, if you have done my 10-day Power Foods Detox, which is a standalone program, or if you do PFL Academy, I will give you the detox in the first 2 or 3 weeks to get started on whenever you're ready for it. But that is part of the strategy of beginning to get our body in a place for healing. We need to get those glycogen stores down. We need to get the excess water out of the body, and we need to get our body to a place where we're going to be getting more fats in there instead of carbohydrates. We're also going to cut out the top exacerbators like gluten, dairy, sugar, and sugar alcohol. Now, just a quick comment on the gluten. That one's super easy to get out of your diet if you are eating predominantly fats for energy instead of carbs. I will explain more of how to do that soon. Dairy is a big one. A lot of people don't like to give up, but as someone who's been dairy-free for 1.5 years, I'll tell you it's quite simple to either dine out and say, and hold the cheese, or when you cook, use almond cheese. It's delicious and you wouldn't even know. I can't tell you how many people I've made food for, and I sneak it in there and then ask them after. I said, would you have known that that wasn't your normal cheese? And they're like, what? How dare you? And I'm like, you didn't know the difference. Haha. All right. So sugar, of course, is going to be inflammatory to every cell in the body. With cancer and tumors and so many other inflammatory diseases going on, I just want to again reiterate what you already know, which is get your sugar intake down and put your foot down and start saying no when you want to say yes. It's okay to have the desire. It's naturally wired in your brain. That's a whole 2-hour conversation on that. But you need to start putting that foot down. And finally, sugar alcohol. I do have a huge concern with all of these beverages and snacks and protein bars coming out because the manufacturers know that people are starting to be educated about sugar. And so then they're like, oh, well, I still want yummy things, but it needs to be sweet because no manufacturer is going to sell something that isn't sweet. And therefore, they're going to put sugar alcohol in it. And sugar alcohols will start to break down your microbiome, the gut bacteria. They will impact your brain. They're being linked with all the dementia and Alzheimer's studies that are going on. And if you're totally out of that loop, there is an extensive amount of focus on those two diseases because they are so predominant in our society and they are happening younger and younger, as young as 30 years old. They're finding, and it's terrifying, but it's 100% within our ability to turn on those genetics or to keep those genetics from ever firing. And that's really where the science is at, is you can have every genetic in the world to be predisposed to something, but you get to decide if you ignite it. All right. Drink at least 70 ounces of water with freshly squeezed lemon and lime. I like to sometimes add a little mint leaf for a refreshing flavor. Sleep. Do what you need to do to get 8 hours of sleep for 2 nights in a row. So many of my client conversations are simply about scheduling and what to say no to and priorities and how to be like, no, that's beyond my ability to do that. And especially females are so prone to overscheduling themselves and give. But we need to fall in love with taking care of ourselves first. And I feel like that is a dominant theme we do see like on social media and things like that. And sometimes I feel it's almost, how can I say this? It's trivialized and taken to a weird extreme where it can feel selfish, but The notion simply being, if you want to give and be of value, you've got to take care of yourself. It's as simple as that. We all know it, but you have to figure those things out. Is it that you need to set a hardcore alarm in your phone that says, go to bed now? Is it that you need to stop watching that show and you need to discontinue your Netflix account for 2 months while you get this under control? Or heck, 1 month. What is it you need to do? Do you need to schedule things out with a significant other or spouse or with your family? Do you need to set some structure in your day? That's where I would assume you need to work a little bit. And I have to do the same thing for myself. I coach a dance team at 5:30 in the morning. I wake up at 4:30 or 4:45 every single morning. And if I didn't prioritize my evening, I'd be a wreck and I would just be one mess running from mess to mess to mess. And the only way to stay in front of everything is to structure your bedtime and know when you're done, when to put the computer away, when to put the phone away. And sometimes that means you don't close the deal. Sometimes that means you don't finish the conversation. And I am finally at a point in my life, I am okay with that because I value my health. I've watched it go downhill. Two years ago, I got bad adrenal fatigue. And after that experience, I said, no more. It was bad. And so I said, nope, we're going to care for myself first and foremost. And that's the only way I can be of value to others. I would like you to do the sauna 1 to 2 days worth of 15 to 25 minutes in a dry or infrared sauna. If you're not familiar with any of those, utilize your Google, my friend. Go dry sauna and then your city, wherever you're living. I promise you can find something, and it may take a little bit of investment, but I'd highly recommend making that a part of your life, as sweat is one of the most amazing detoxification processes to help your body eliminate the free radicals that can build up in your body and cause that inflammation. And then all of a sudden your cells are wreaking havoc and they're destroying each other. So we've got to have a constant process of helping those things move along their path. And finally, eat PVF, which stands for protein, veggie, fat-based meals every 2.5 to 3 hours. So if you're completely new to Body Buddies, which I'm assuming you're not, if you are, forgive me for just jumping into maybe level 2 of this. If you need level 1, you definitely want to read my book, and then you'll understand all of the lingo I use regularly on social media and in the YouTubes and podcasts and such. So PVF, protein, veggie, fat, is a combination that makes a complete meal. So protein, veggie, fat. Each of these represents the portion, the peak range for that type of food. And so 15 to 30 grams of protein, 1 to 2 cups of veggies, and 8 to 12 grams of fat. Now those values are for a standard semi-active female looking to lose weight. If you have 6 meals of those per day, you'll get around 1,500 calories. As you can imagine, that glove, that baseline, if you will, does not fit every person. No, but that's our foundation off which then we customize. I can customize an intermittent fasting plan from that. I can customize a keto plan from that. I can customize a high carb plan. I just wrote an entire plan for this 200-pound physique competitor in Florida, like based on powerful lifestyle principles. And it's all working off the foundation, and then we strategize from there. And that's exactly what the PFL Academy is going to help you learn how to do as you get on the inside. And I really hope you'll take that opportunity. So that's step 1, how to say goodbye. So just for the next 2 days, I want you to think, okay, are there 3 of these items that I can do? Maybe you just need 1, maybe just 1. And you say, you know what? Let's do it. Let's go. 1 thing, here I go. All right, problem number 2 is you think that fat is bad to eat. Your hair and skin lack vibrancy, and your hormones are all over the place. Okay, maybe some of that isn't you, maybe it is. So if this is you, you're gonna definitely want to pay attention. Maybe you are still in your 20s, and maybe you're like, well, those things haven't hit me yet. Trust me, honey buns, you're gonna wanna learn these things and start applying them now so they don't hit you. Okay, I am so grateful every day, as I know all of you older than me are going to groan over this, but I am starting to feel that transition into like, oh my gosh, like the day that they all said would happen when I start to realize my body is getting older, like, wow, I am feeling a difference. And I'm so grateful I already have these habits in place for the shifting in my body, and it's making all the difference and keeping me very active and enjoying my life. I'm grateful for that. Can't wait to share more with you. All right, so which fats can you eat without getting fat? That's most people's concern, because they hear, well, there's 9 calories per gram of fat, and only 4 calories per gram of protein and carbs. So obviously, if we have to keep our calories under control, because yes, energy in, energy out is a thing. It's not the only variable, but it is a variable. Absolutely. It's called chemical balance. And so the key being, we want to learn and have a formula for keeping your calories in check, but providing the right fuel to, bless me. I mean, excuse me. You're supposed to say excuse me, but I blessed myself. Okay, fantastic. Where was it? That was kind of fun. All right, so we want to get to a point basically where you're eating fats. You have a plan and a foundation, a skeleton framework, if you will, to work off of each day, so that you have the peace of mind that eating fats in the right portion, in the right way, are exactly what your body needs. And that's my job, is to make this so dang easy for you that you don't have to think about it, that you actually just do it and reap the reward. I've done the hard work for you. So I value those of you who just dive in and just start applying, because those are the ones that get to solutions. Those that like try to like reprove what I've already proven, I'm like, okay, you're going to take 6 months longer than everyone else, but that's fine. You know, to each their own. If that's what you need, go for it. But you're going to stumble across the same solutions. I promise you that. All right. So number 1, the power of fats for hunger satiety. Fats are going to release the hormone cholecystokinin, CCK. This helps your body feel full and triggers that sensation. So many clients that have come to me, I look at their typical diet and I'm like, holy cow, their fat intake is so low. And they're like, I'm hungry, but look how many calories I'm eating. I'm like, that is the simplest fix. If those of you who are Power Foods Lifestyle trained-ish or whatever level, think about it. What's the simplest fix I would recommend? I would recommend take a few of those PVC meals, or maybe they're eating carbs without a protein and veggie. And I would say we're going to exchange that for a fat, okay? And we're going to use a fat energy rather than a carb. Here's a case in point. In this meal, this is oregano chicken from volume 1 of my recipe books. You have chicken, you have broccoli and asparagus, and you have almonds. P is the protein, V is the veggies, and F is the fat. Too many people think that nuts are a protein. They have some protein in them. However, they are a dominant fat. And I explain all of that, the structures and all the formulas of mathematically how we get to that conclusion in my book. So if you haven't yet read that, please do. So another alternative, if we wanted to take this PVF meal into a PVC meal, and we didn't want to stabilize blood sugar, and we didn't want to help our hormones, and we didn't want to feel satisfied, then maybe we would put half a cup of brown rice with this. That's a carb. That'd be a PVC meal. Maybe we want both aspects. Maybe we want PVCF. PVCF meals are not bad. The key is to keep the portions in check. And that's really is an awareness level. That's really what this comes down to. Please keep in mind that the power of fats in vitamin absorption is incredible. Think of fats like a boat that have to take people from a sinking ship to the coast. And these people can't swim. Well, guess what? That's like your vitamins A, E, D, and K. They're called fat-soluble vitamins. They are essential in so many processes in the body. Little things from vibrancy of skin and the way that you are able to have good vision and your regeneration of hair and skin and your intestinal linings. I mean, these vitamins are paramount for so many processes. And if they aren't getting a carrier, that boat, to take the people to safety, if they're not getting that carrier to take them into the cell, then they are not being absorbed. They are passing through the body. Therefore, you must have the right amount of fats in order for that absorption to happen. We want to get the brain using a little bit more fats, especially if there is a case of insulin resistance. Okay. And so with many of my ladies with hypothyroidism, or if we're dealing with any amount of pain, any neurological conditions, any mental health conditions, almost every single one of those situations, the person will benefit drastically and quickly when we get them on PVF basis instead of PVC, if not CF. Most people live a very low protein, high carb, high fat lifestyle, high sugar. And so as you can see, that's very, very, very inflammatory and is going to absolutely cause weight gain and brain fog and sluggishness and fatigue and cravings and all sorts of weird things, okay? And so by simply changing the parameters of what we're putting in the body, that is when we're going to help give the right fuel to the brain. Now, many people have heard that saturated fat is bad, and there was this whole fiasco with a German professor giving a talk on why coconut oil isn't as good for you. And I really don't want to spend much more than 20 seconds on that. So here's my response. It's bogus. All of her articles were miscited. And I do agree that the type of coconut oil we buy is critical, but the same goes for everything. When manufacturers get word that people are starting to be like healthier and buying a certain type of food, are they going to make cheaper versions of it that aren't as potent? Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why, really, you're going to get what you pay for. And it's hard in a world where many people are feeling that financial inflexibility. And so you just have to find those solutions. And sometimes it means not doing every little product that you hear, but being like, oh, well, what's an alternative to that? And simplifying the process. I'm here to help you simplify that. And I do have every single one of those answers. For instance, if you were someone that's like, Kristy, I just can't afford that coconut oil, the really high level, I would say, great, let's go get an avocado oil. Let's go get maybe an extra virgin olive oil. Let's go and let's start using more egg yolks. Let's go and try to get some of these other oils in there. And here's the fact is that a 2-to-1 ratio of saturated to unsaturated fat will keep you healthy. It's as simple as looking at if it comes from an animal. So I did just refer to a saturated fat when I said egg yolk. Coconut oil, yes, it is saturated. But here's another fun fact, my friends. Did you know that breast milk is almost entirely all saturated fat? So when all of these people are saying saturated fat is of the devil, I will argue back and say, no, we just need to make sure we are getting monounsaturated fats too, which come from, if you look down here, avocado, olives, sardines, salmon, oils, nuts, nut butter, seeds. And then we get into other saturated fats like egg yolks and cheese and animal fats in meat. So saturated fat represents this 1 ratio, where the monounsaturated is the 2. So if you're eating, let's say, 3 PVF meals in a day, I'd want you to have 2 of those meals be the fat is like an avocado or olives or an avocado oil or extra virgin olive oil or your salmon or your almonds or your Brazil nuts or your natural almond butter, or your chia seeds, or your flax seeds, or your raw almonds, or, I'm just listing a bunch off. I hope you're taking notes like crazy. And so 2 of those need to be that. And then 1 of them could be the full eggs with the egg yolks. I recommend no more than 3 yolks per day. But if you're on a tighter caloric intake, I'd recommend keeping that to only 1 yolk. But that is a variable that we'd have to discuss if we were really writing out a meal plan and getting into the bolt of that, which is what I do in my strategy sessions with one-on-one clients. And then, or you could do cheese, or you could do some bacon. Like, that's the thing, is there's no off-limit foods here. It's about understanding what category of all of this does it fit into, and how can we pair them together strategically. So my recommendation, I have an entire podcast on the top 3 power fats. It's called Love Me Some Fats. Please go listen to that. And I would highly recommend you start and never stop. Once a day, you're going to eat some avocado, some olives, and some oils. Okay. Like, I'll just give you baseline amounts: 2 ounces of avocado, 10 olives. It doesn't matter what type. And let's say a tablespoon of avocado oil or MCT oil or avocado oil or walnut oil or anything like that. Now, many people say either they have an issue with avocado or olives or both, and only then do we get into our 4th tier, which is going to be your salmon, your sardines, your nuts, your nut butters, etc. So I'd prefer, because a lot of people are used to making nuts and nut butters their predominant fat, you're not going to see the same level of improvement until you get these top tier fats in there as the baseline. Really quickly, when we're in the concept and the conversation about arterial plaque and what leads up to cardiovascular disease, the #1 killer in America, what causes high cholesterol? Did you know that almost 60% of the American population is on statins? It's quite remarkable, and I would highly recommend, if it's acute enough and a big enough of a problem, I'm okay. If you need to use a conventional prescription to help mitigate symptoms, but not if you're not willing to get out of the pond you're swimming in. What's the lifestyle that has contributed to that problem? Okay, you can't just slap a Band-Aid on these things and expect it to get better. It will take you down sooner or harder than you wish. And that's the reality that we all have to look at: quality of life, longevity. I didn't start thinking about these things until my late 20s. And I was like, oh, everything everyone said is for real. Now that I'm in my early 30s and kind of looking at the next decade and what's that look like and what's 20 years look like and how is my body going to handle the constant aging process. These are very real concerns. And so I hope that no matter what age you are at listening to this, that you will say, here's where I'm at, here's what I want for my next 5 years. And there is no pathway other than taking the real foods and putting the right biochemical balance in my body if I wish to create the best possible life for myself. So what causes that oxidation and the buildup of that arterial plaque? It's very simple. If we get too many carbohydrates at the same time as a lot of our bad fats. Now, I don't often use the word bad, but I want you to think about any of our vegetable oils, our trans fat oils, basically any refined oil. If it says soybean oil, canola oil, if it is hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated vegetable oil, these are yucky oils that do not have the right biochemical molecular structure. They have an extra ion and they cause havoc in your body and they wreak all sorts of damage and start that inflammation process. And so the reason is that carbs break down to sugar. Sugar oxidizes those nasty fats. So if let's translate that, you're eating French fries, those carbohydrates break down to the sugar, and you have them cooked in the nasty oil, those French fries are causing arterial plaque buildup. Now, before you go and demonize any food that is cooked that way, because I'm very normal too. And will I eat a French fry or two? Sure. Will I eat a bite of donut or two? Sure. But that's just it. The portion size. It's not a part of my regular food intake. It is more of a nibble or a bite or a little bit of enjoyment at the end of a meal, or it doesn't ever replace the normal fueling. And that is a mindset shift that will be very valuable for you if you can make that. I realize that is an extensive process. I say that with a big smile on my face because it sounds so simple, but I do know the amount of work that goes into that. And in our concept number 4, I'll share with you about the different psychological tendencies and really what I just described about the nibbles. That's more of a moderator. And I realize many of you are going to be abstainers. You'll learn more about that in a minute. All right. Problem number 3, you're stressed and you're anxious. So let's find a strategic solution and take control. Remember, we want to get rid of any victim mindsets, blaming other people or situations, even yourself. Like, get rid of the shame. It's not going to value you anything. Just get rid of it. Let's figure out where you're at and take a step forward and start with a base hit. Let's just get a little bunt, get to first base, okay? All right, so this is going to help you create better brain chemicals to reduce stress and anxiety using real food with no supplement or shake pitches. Now, I'm not against those things, but that's not the dominant supply of where our changes come from. Those can always add to, but they will never replace what you can do with your food as one of the biochemical balancing factors. So this is called Herb and Egg Scramble from volume 1 of my recipe book as well. So I want you to really consider, and I say this with a great deal of sensitivity, but also some brevity, because I feel this is an eggshell topic that I'm not gonna eggshell tiptoe around, okay? We have a culture that is quickly accepting chemical imbalance as the norm, and so many people are throwing up their hands and saying, why? It's an epidemic. Well, let's look at the root cause. Brain chemicals, can they naturally be imbalanced? Sure, I do believe that for a small demographic of people. But as big of a problem as this has become, much of that is lifestyle induced. And a great part of it is from the foods that ignite the very chemicals that are in your brain. Okay, now we could talk about many other factors. We could talk about technology. We could talk about pollution. We could talk about social media. We could talk about overexposure. We could talk about FOMO. We could talk about all of these other environmental and societal issues. And I do believe they're there. And I also speak heavily on those. But let's take a look at what we can do individually. Again, it's about finding control within ourselves. So let's look at how you can start eating in a way that helps to generate the right brain chemicals. They're called neurotransmitters. These are chemicals, they're hormone messengers that help the signals to transfer from one dendrite to another, the end of one cell receptor to the next. And if those neurochemicals, those vehicles are not present, then you're not firing. and things that don't fire together don't wire together. And all of a sudden you will see the impact in forgetfulness or anxiety or overwhelm or panic. I've experienced all of those in my life. And if you are, whether you've heard me talk about this or not, I mean, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder when I was 21 years old, one of the most difficult emotional things that ever happened. And I stood up and looked at the doctor. I said, "You are wrong. I do not." I did go on medication for a year and a half while trying to figure that out. I was on antidepressants for a good 7 years. And I do believe much of that was learning emotional control and impulse control and many factors that I've had to train myself through. I am absolutely a product of hard work. Everything I have developed in my mind and my body has been through coaching, through wonderful mentors, and education, because I was dealing with some really hardcore messes inside that brain of mine. And so I do believe in the power of healing, but also you have to be the one to do it. You know, I had to stand up and say, I'm done with this. I'm done with this life, because this life that I'm in right now isn't worth living. Like, I was at that point, I was like, this is stupid. And so I said, no, I want to create a life that I actually want to be in. And I did. And I love my life. So please keep in mind, no matter where you're at, no matter how hard things feel, you can absolutely step into and create new space for yourself. You just need to create it mentally first before physically. Please keep in mind that all of these, you may have been pitched Plexus or any of these other brands. I mean, that's the most dominant one that I keep hearing about in all the social media pitches, right? And you can smell it coming a mile away and you're just like, really? Like, leave me alone. Can we just have a block mentality or like a mechanism for that on Facebook and Instagram? That'd be so great. But the science is coming out that superdosing of many of these vitamins and minerals is actually problematic. Like yesterday, I was reading some of this research because I can't recall exact statistics, but I'll just throw out the general vicinity that they are finding overdosing vitamin A and vitamin K. I believe those are the ones that they can actually, at a high enough dose, they can actually be linked to causing cancer. And so I don't want to be, an alarmist or anything, but I think it is important to realize God knew what he was doing when he put the right foods on the earth. And that as we seek to get ourselves on board with what he desires for our life and caring for our body, and not becoming so busy and stressed out and overcommitted that we cannot take care of our bodies, I would argue that that is not on the path that God intended for us. And we have some work to do in removing some of these things from our lives. I believe there can be too much of a good thing. And we have to look at those schedules. We have to look at those commitments. And I mean, sometimes we're dealing with people who are like, I'm doing great things. I'm doing incredible things. And sometimes you have to get rid of even the great things and only do the phenomenal things. I've had to have that coaching many a times with one of my mentors, that I'm like, I cannot cut anything from my schedule. And he's like, Kristy, you have to. And I'm like, I know, but how do you pick and choose? Anything that's not freaking fantastic and causing so many people's lives to be better and causing me joy every day had to go. And it's sad and it's hard to do things like that. And I know I'm tangenting here, but that's what I do. I'm a holistic coach. We're going to cover all sorts of angles. And so please look at those things and ask yourself, what is it that I can start to reduce in my life and to create a little more balance in? Remember, you're not going to go from frantic and crazy and scheduled and overwhelmed to peaceful and tranquil overnight, but you're going to start hitting base hits. And if you can just say no to one thing that inside your heart was just tipping you overboard, then do it. All right. So I want you to think about the fact that to create neurotransmitters, you need to have amino acids and cofactors. Well, amino acids come from protein, and cofactors are another way of saying minerals and vitamins that come from vegetables. In the Power Foods lifestyle, PV is the anchor to every type of meal we eat, whether we are cooking at home, whether we are using fast grab foods on the go, we're going to our local grocery store or making our own salad. That's kind of my life lately. You always want to anchor each meal with a PV, and that gives your body the natural chemicals it needs to create neurotransmitters, things like dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine, norepinephrine, GABA. Very important. And then when you look at basic Power Foods lifestyle structure, again,
Asterisk, this strategy doesn't always fit everyone. Some people do better with several meals a day, intermittent fasting, etc. But the predominant demographic of people I work with do very well with small, frequent meals. And that's that learning to recognize the satisfied but not stuffed feeling. And it's a constant influx of stoking those chemicals that are created in the brain. It's pretty fascinating. Once you do it for 3 to 4 days, you will feel an incredible difference. Examples of PV anchors. How about some lean ground beef with, I always recommend red meat be eaten with just leafy greens. So I'd say a bunch of kale and mustard greens and collard greens, or just one of them, or spinach. Most people are more comfortable with spinach. Another PV anchor could be that you do a bunch of egg whites. The only reason I'm not saying egg yolk is because that's a fat, and I'm just giving you PV anchors. So you maybe do some liquid egg whites with them, bell pepper and mushrooms, and then maybe you add some avocado on top of that. That's a PVF meal. Another example would be some lean ground turkey with some asparagus. Or if you do eat dairy, cottage cheese, 2% with some cucumber. Another one would be a protein shake with some mini sweet peppers. That's a pretty common one for me in my on-the-go lifestyle. Vegetable categories. In the PFL Academy, I'm going to teach you about the 4 categories, and you need to eat a vegetable from each of those categories each day. I wish I had time to go into it now, but let's go ahead and keep moving. Just for now, think variety of color, variety of texture, and leafy greens at least once a day from here until you die, which I hope is in a million years, because you're going to develop longevity for yourself, that you will always eat 1 serving of leafy greens per day, no matter what. We don't eat salads because they're lower calorie. We don't eat salads because we want to lose weight. I mean, sure, could that be helpful in a foundational strategy? Sure. We eat leafy greens because it is critical for the types of vitamins our body needs and the digestive power they have on a daily basis to keep scraping the linings of everything that we're trying to get the waste moving through our bodies, okay? Protein principles, very quickly about meat. Please do not do more than maximum 4 servings of meat per day, and that's the size of your palm. That's really, I only see physique competitors get to that level. Most lifestyle chasers are 1 to 3 times per day. I do deal with vegans and vegetarians. I'm not a fan of those approaches. I do believe there is a place for meat, the right type of meat, of course, organic and hormone-free. I do recommend you get on ButcherBox. They deliver to your door every single month. If you go to bit.ly/bodbuds, no. It's ButcherBox1. That can get you in the door, or just message me later. I'll send you that link. But it is the only place I'll get my meat unless I'm like dining out. Then I'm like, oh, I have to eat inflammatory meat right now. So it's very critical for your brain and keeping that inflammation down. Dairy, I really would recommend 70% of people are going to just do better if you just get dairy out, and not forever, but maybe just keep it to more of an indulgence type thing. And then note if your tummy is upset and maybe you just get a little more loose bowels, and your body will tell you. Your body will tell you what it likes and what it doesn't like, but you have to start experimenting. Protein powder, there is a hierarchy. If you are sensitive to whey, which is dairy-based, then you need to move yourself to an egg-based protein. If you're sensitive to egg, then I would recommend moving to a vegan protein, something that's like very vegetable or plant-based. So I do have recommendations over at powerfoodslifestyle.com/protein. A quick little mindset. Let's go through 2 mindset hacks very quickly. Ditch the distress is where you take your entire, you run it through this process. Number 1, can you do it now? Number 2, can you delegate it? Number 3, can you defer it? Can you wait to do it? Or 4, if you can't do any of the previous 3, delete it. That list saves my life every single day. Use it. I could train you on 30 minutes of it, but we need to move on. Brain dump is a very powerful one for my clients. Anytime you start getting into that hyperventilated breathing and you're just feeling anxious and overwhelmed and stressed, and I get there about twice a week, then you pull out your paper and you brain dump every little thing on your mind. You put it down and make a list. And you do not stop until you feel like, okay, Then you go back to your list and you say, how can I find one solution to this issue? And you go through and you solutionize, and then you get attacking those solutions, and you will be amazed at how much better you can function because you're getting to the root of the problem. There's too many things that needed to be done, but you need a system. Okay, we're short on time. I'm talking a lot today. Thanks for bearing with me. I hope you're furiously taking notes on those things that are standing out to you. Our fourth issue is that you probably tend to want yummy treats when you're tired, stressed, or you're with those you love. That's a real thing. The peer pressure, whether it is self-induced, you have to really look at the fact that there's so many different emotional and psychological wirings that are connected to food, and that is a long process of rewiring and remapping, which is exactly what the PFL Academy is going to help you do. So let's find a strategic solution and take control. How to still enjoy yummy treats without letting them ruin your health journey. Please keep in mind, carbs and fats are not created equally, but you cannot avoid them altogether, nor should you. There is a time and a place in your lifestyle for what's right for you. If you look at any food that you may have previously labeled as bad or not good, or whatever words have been programmed into your mind and your experience, they're probably going to be higher in carbs and fats and sugars. And so, this is my next 2 points here, abstainers and moderators. This is assuming that you are wanting to make a change. Okay, so I'm assuming you're focused, you're intentional, then 70% chance that you are an abstainer. You're someone that's like, oh my gosh, I can't have one brownie or else I'm going to go eat the entire plate when people aren't looking, or I'm going to drive to the store and eat like 5 and then be like, why did I do that? You know, you're one of those. You just need to stay away and really not do much more than that. So abstainers, there is a strategy in the Power Foods lifestyle, whether it's once or twice a week. I do not believe in cheat days. I do not even believe in the word cheat. It's an indulgence. It is a choice. It is controlled. It is intentional. It is not deviation from the plan. It's part of the plan. And so abstainers would be 1 to 2 meals per week that you say, okay, it's indulgence time. Let's try to rein it in, but let's go ahead and have some foods that we would really, really enjoy. In the process of learning to say, oh my gosh, no, I just love my Power Foods lifestyle. That's our end game, and you'll get there, but it does take time. It's different for everyone. Moderators, you're going to be 30% of the population. Moderators are where you're like, I really will just get so frustrated if I'm told I can't have something. But if I'm told I can have it, I'll be fine with just a few bites, or I just need that dark chocolate, or I just need that one little piece of, a bread every day, or I just need one handful of those goldfish or those Teddy Grahams or those vanilla wafers or whatever your jam is. Then you're a moderator and you just do that small amount. It's 20 to 30 grams of carbohydrate per day. And especially if you are trying to live a PVF lifestyle, it may hold you back. However, I would always recommend go base hits. If you can get basically a PVF lifestyle going and then just have one moderation snack, is it ideal? No, but is it going to be sustainable for you? And then when you're ready to kick it in gear, you're going to be ready to say, I don't need that every day. I absolutely believe that you will be in a much better place to apply those principles when you're there. Now, there's a third level of enjoying yummy treats that is called temperance. Now, I never see this apply to people except in the rare occasion, because it takes a lot of work to get there. Because most of the time you need to have achieved the body composition that you desired. You need to be healthy in mind and body about your body image, as well as all of your vital signs and your BMI. And only at that point, and you have Power Foods lifestyle going and rocking, and that's your norm. Temperance is where you don't strategize and plan in those things, but if they're there and you happen to want some, that you can really just in that moment decide, do I want this? Do I need this? And then make the decision right then and there, which means you may have a few nibbles of stuff every single day. It may mean that some days you don't. There's really no rhyme or reason to it, but it's absolute control and listening to yourself. But I would really recommend avoiding temperance psychology if you are in the process of losing body fat, because it will hold you back, because it's hard to track. And when you are really trying to lose, I am a fan of, like the whole, the type of eating, intuitive eating, where it's like, listen how you feel. And I absolutely believe you need to listen to yourself, but I don't believe you can truly understand what your body needs till you have trained it and trained back the brain chemicals and the cells to function and the metabolism as they were designed. Because if you are not well right now, they're not functioning normally. So you can't go off intuitive eating to repair it. Your hormones and signaling are not on. And so I am a little more on that side of things. But, if we were to have a one-on-one conversation and I may hear what's going on in your life, then that may change. And that's why I'm a strategist. It's all about adaptation to you and what it is you need. But again, in my greatest observation, that would be the case. All right, let's remove the good and the bad labels from your mind and replace with strategic or non-strategic. I always get a little side look like, wait, what did you just say? If I'm like, oh, it's just non-strategic. Because then I define it by saying, well, it's not a part of my plan to help me with my current goals, whether my current goals are to get better in the elbow stand or to jump a little higher on the plyo boxes or to be able to last longer in my dancing, make a 3-minute routine or dancing without heaving and hoeing and feeling like my heart's going to escape out my chest. Sadly enough, sometimes that happens. I'm I'm in great muscular condition, but sometimes my cardiovascular condition, it's hard. It's hard to keep that up. If you even miss 1 week, you lose it quickly. And then I go and teach a dance class and I'm in the moment and loving the dance. And then the music stops. I'm I can't breathe. I just genuinely can't breathe. And I always laugh at myself in those moments. I'm sure you've had those moments too. All right, my friends, you have learned a lot today, and it's just the tip of the iceberg. So I just want to share with you what the PFL Academy will do for you in taking this tip of the iceberg and turning it into a step-by-step program that will help you to make these changes week by week. But the reality is the PFL Academy is not actually open at the time that we are putting this podcast out on the air. And so you will see the enrollment happen towards the end of December 2018 for the winter semester of 2019. If you're listening to this podcast down the road, go ahead and head over to powerfoodslifestyle.com/enroll, and you can see when our next semester is. We open up enrollment for the 12-week academy in the winter, in the spring, and again in the fall. So 3 semesters available during the year. This 12-week journey is the single most important and in-depth creation I have given my soul to. And I just hope you have the opportunity to go through it, because it is truly the step-by-step process to becoming a strategist of your own health and learning and finally making sense of all the incredibly crazy, fragmented nutrition information you may or may not have picked up across the years and been able to put together in a seamless way that makes sense and does not leave you confused, frustrated, and disappointed. I'm here to make that all possible. So I hope this has been of value to you today. I definitely would love to share more with you and to help you find the answers to your health. So just a few options for you. If you need to get started, you have never read my book, I definitely encourage you to start with the starter kit. So that's going to give you the paperback book, the audio files of the book. It's kind of fun to listen to me read it. I talk a lot slower than I do here on the podcast because you have to absorb a lot of information. And then you'll get the 3 recipe books with over 150 recipes. And then you'll also get some sample starter meal plans and a few just helpful little PDFs. Now, if you've already got that and you just want more of the templates and the how-to, because you understand a lot of the education and the science behind it, then my Master Nutrition book is for you. This has over 75 meal plans and full 8-week challenges from my Ripped and Shredded program to the lifestyle change, the holiday hustle, anything regarding carb cycling, ketosis, intermittent fasting, low carb, high carb, training for fitness shows, cutting down, bulking up, you name it. I've got a plan for it. I've got experience coaching it. So one of the best things you can do is get the Master Nutrition book. And if you don't feel like you have the follow through, if you don't feel like you know how to adapt little things for yourself and you're not willing to read the 10 to 15 pages at the beginning of the Master Nutrition book, contact me for 1 to 3, maybe you need just a few coaching calls to get you sent off in the right direction. I'll be the fuel underneath your rocket ship and help you take off and go exactly where you need to go. So just contact me. You can either email me at Kristy Jo, KRISTYJO at body-buddies.com. That's BUDDIES. You'd be surprised how many people spell it BUDDYS, my friends. We know how to spell plural things right. Yep. And then another way, actually really great way to get a hold of me is social media. Send me a personal message on Kristy Jo Hunt Facebook page or the Body Buddies Facebook page or over on Instagram
at BODBUDS, BODBUDS. That's probably the fastest way to reach me if you need a quick answer or reaching out. If you are looking for something a little more formal, email probably would be the better way to approach it. I think that covers it for today. So just watch for enrollment to come out here soon. We are focusing heavily in December on hypothyroidism. So if you are somebody who is experiencing the brain fog, the fatigue, my goodness, the fatigue that comes with hypothyroidism is unreal. If you are experiencing any of these, the frustrations of losing the weight, you feel like there's zero answers out there, you've tried everything, my friend, you better darn well have liked my Facebook page, Body Buddies, because I'm going to be jumping on Facebook Live a ton, and I will be talking to you in December. So I can't wait for that. Until then, I am going to be in Cancun on my honeymoon, so I can't wait for that too. All right, you guys are awesome. You know how I love to end this, empowering you with the most important tool, which is ownership. You get to choose to power your body. One meal, one workout, one day at a time.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on iTunes. You can learn more about Body Buddies and Power Foods Lifestyle by going to www.body-buddies.com, BODY-BUDDIES.com, and powerfoodslifestyle.com. That's www.POWERFOODS-lifestyle.com.
Information in this episode is provided for informational purposes and is not meant to substitute the advice provided by your own physician or other medical professional. Information and statements regarding dietary supplements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.